those are in there, so you good? Hello and happy Monday, everyone, or happy whatever day it is you happen to be watching. It is a beautiful, sunshiny day out here, which I'm kind of yay, but also, oh no, I get to be outside and do some work. So I mentioned a couple videos ago that there are some repairs that need to be done, so we're going to be doing that. We'll see how long it lasts. I mean, I'm only in a sweatshirt, but it is only 35 degrees out here, so yeah, we'll see how long I last. But let's get into it. After another week of the iceberg in the garden melting, I was able to reach a section of fence that was damaged in the last big windstorm that we had. It went pretty smoothly, other than the hunt to find screws that would be long enough and trying to juggle the beam while securing it to the post. The next project, and probably the one that's needed the most attention, is fixing the corner of the fence in the chicken coop that got blown down. I thought this would be simpler than it actually was. You can see here I struggled for a little bit. I thought I could kind of force it to work. I don't know if you can see, but there's a little bit at the top where the bird netting is actually dragging the fencing down, and I thought I could kind of fight it, and then I decided I couldn't. It turns out that I actually needed to go into the coop, or into the run, and adjust the beams that I'd erected in there to hold up the bird netting. The combination of multiple windstorms and the chickens digging out around these posts caused them to lean and tip over, and it ended up pulling the bird netting taut, so I couldn't actually adjust the fence to the position I needed it to go to. I thought I could get away with just adjusting that first post there, that tall one you can see in the back, but it turns out it was still pulled too tightly, so I had to go fix the second one as well. But once I had both those posts straightened back out and the netting loose so I could move it around, fixing the corner of the fence became a breeze. Once it's a bit warmer and I can actually dig, I'll fill in around those posts with rock so it's less tempting for the birds to scratch around them. I attempted to fix some of the bird netting as well, just because a lot of it got blown around since we have had so much wind, but there were sections of it that got completely torn up, so it's not going to be an easy fix that I can do right now, and it's just a little too cold for that. And I'm also thinking about moving completely away from bird netting, so we'll see how that goes. It'll be something we touch on again in spring. The last project is reinstalling the nest boxes. I was able to find a couple perfect size pieces that would support both the nest boxes and the roof over them out of the old coop that we had, so hooray for reusing material. You probably noticed in the last couple of videos that I've been in the chicken coop that the nest box was torn down. That is because the chickens all decided that they wanted to roost on top of that instead of their roost spots. I hadn't expected them all to try to roost on it, and honestly there's probably about 50 or 60 pounds of chicken that was trying to sit on top of that, so I'm not super surprised that 4 little screws didn't do the job of holding it up. I should have known better and put supports on there, but I guess it's kind of good in the long run that it got torn out of the wall, because now the chickens are actually using the roost spots like I wanted them to. So hopefully we can encourage them to start using the nest boxes the way they're supposed to be used. just like when I was installing this the first time. This time I'm just screwing the frame straight into the support beams on the other side of the plywood and the wall. And then I'm putting 2 supports, one on each side of the post, so it adds like a leg to it. So it gives a little more support there. So if they do decide they want to lay in there, or a whole bunch of them just want to sit on top of it for whatever reason, it has that extra support, so hopefully it won't rip right out of the wall again. Another thing I was excited about with the pieces of wood I chose as the support is I found it was the perfect height to not only add a leg to the frame for the nest boxes, but it was tall enough that it perfectly sat underneath the roof there. You can see it's a little steeper than it had been before. The chickens, I called it, tried to roost on top of it. I knew they would do that, and when they did, it kind of bent the screws a little bit, so it's not standing out as far as it had been before. But with the help of the support on the side, now it stands up a little bit higher. It covers more of the roost boxes, or the lay boxes, and it can still not encourage the chickens to try to roost on top of that. So cool that it worked both ways. I was pretty excited about that. The supports on the side of the frame were a pretty simple addition. I just used screws to attach it to the frame for the nest boxes. Didn't bother attaching them to the roof at all. I don't want the chickens to be roosting on top of the roof. So there is enough gap there that if they try to, it'll knock it down again, so they don't. The only downside is that the actual roof portion is like 1.5 inches too short for both posts. They're both supports that I added to be useful for it, so oh well, that's just a little thing that bothered me, but it aesthetically only. The very last step was putting in some fresh bedding in those nests, and then I'm putting 3 eggs that they'd actually laid that day in there to try to encourage them to lay more in there. Alright, so that's probably about what I'm going to get done today. You can see I had to feed them to keep them out of the way while I was fixing their nest boxes, which, ta-da, they look so nice. I stuck a couple eggs in there, the ones that they left this morning. Those are in there, so you good? But those are in there to hopefully promote them laying more eggs. We're getting about 2 a day at this point. They gave me 3 today, so we're going to see if they start laying in these boxes. Fingers crossed, because the rocks didn't work, and they kept trying to sleep on them, and then they broke it off the wall because all of them were trying to sleep on it. But now that they've started using the roost spots, if I put the eggs there, hopefully they'll get the hint. So that is it for today. That's about as much as I can do because there's still too much snow on the ground in the garden, so I can't put stakes in yet. I can't do any more planting in the garden, so that'll have to wait till later. You're good. Yeah, so thank you so much for watching. If you like what you saw, please let me know. Drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe, whatever works for you. You can go check out my Instagram and my TikTok and go read my blog. And with that, thanks again, and I'll see you guys next week.